Hi, boys and girls. Mrs. Blackburn here. We are on day 3 of our shared reading. Let's go ahead and begin. Our learning goal. Students will summarize a paragraph in the passage. Your success criteria. I can successfully identify key details to include in a summary. All right. So, you know that we always begin with a shared reading, so we are going to read this together. Please join in with me and follow along as best you can. Right, let's go ahead and start. Tectonic plates. Our planet Earth is a bubbling cauldron of red-hot magma with an eggshell-thin, rocky crust. The crust of the Earth is webbed with cracks and fault lines. These fault lines reveal something unbelievable about our planet. Gigantic chunks of the Earth's surface are slowly moving. Like big boats in a tiny pond, these chunks or plates are bumping into, pushing off, and sliding past each other. Because these rocky plates are huge, bigger than continents, they crash into each other in spectacular ways. Earthquakes, volcanoes, and tsunamis are all caused by the Earth's slowly wandering tectonic plates. The Ring of Fire. The Pacific Ocean is surrounded by an especially active group of tectonic plates. These plates meet each other at boundaries. The boundaries can be traced on a map, like the one shown opposite. Together, all of the plate boundaries might seem like a giant jigsaw puzzle that covers the Earth's surface. The Ring of Fire gets its name from the many active volcanoes along its border. The Pacific Plate also has volcanoes under the ocean's surface. Earthquakes are common along the Ring of Fire's fault lines. To make matters worse, an earthquake under the ocean can cause a powerful shock wave of energy through the water. The wave of energy can build into a massive and dangerous tsunami wave as it approaches the shoreline. The people who live along the shores of the Pacific Ocean have to be prepared for many types of emergencies. Scientists who study the Earth, called geologists, are learning how the Earth's plates drift into, away from, and past each other. The area around the Pacific Ocean is a giant lab for these geologists. Some of these geologists study the trenches and mountain ranges lying deep beneath the waves on the ocean floor. Other scientists focus their work on trying to understand earthquakes. These seismologists have covered the planet with instruments that detect vibration, or seismic activity, in the Earth's crust. Still other scientists concentrate their attention on the volcanoes found at the boundaries of tectonic plates. The Ring of Fire presents all of these scientists with many clues about how forces from deep under the Earth's crust are shaping our planet. Okay, and then you can see the sign, Tsunami Hazard Zone. In case of earthquake, go to high ground or inland. And then we have a map of the major tectonic plates in the Ring of Fire in the Pacific Ocean region. Then you can see the map. Okay. 3 kinds of plate boundaries: convergent, divergent, and transform. Sometimes the Earth's plates are pushed into each other. A collision of plates creates a convergent boundary. The slow motion crash of titanic tectonic plates can produce awesome results. Earthquakes are caused when 2 plates collide. If 2 continents crash, new mountains are formed. The Himalayan mountains, home to some of the tallest mountains on the planet, are still growing. They are being pushed up as the Indian plate, ever so slowly, forces its way into the Eurasian plate. This collision began over 50 million years ago and continues even today. When 2 plates converge or come together in the ocean, a deep trench is formed. The Aleutian Trench along the northern Pacific Ocean shows where the Pacific Plate forms a fault line. When two plates move away from each other, they form a divergent boundary. Divergent boundaries allow some of the magma from deep under the Earth's crust to bubble up to the surface. When the magma cools, it becomes new rock. Some parts of the seafloor are spreading this way, creating new oceanic crust. Plates might slip past each other in a transform boundary. When the plates move suddenly, they grind against each other. This powerful force releases immense energy in the form of earthquakes. Transform boundaries are responsible for the long San Andreas Fault in California on the Pacific Plate's western edge. All right, so we have read this now. This is the third read that we've had. Hopefully that we're pulling more and more information. It's just like watching a movie. When you watch a movie the first time, you may pick up some information, but then when you watch it again, the second time, you may think, oh, I didn't catch that the first time I watched it. Well, reading a text is the exact same way. You're going to pick up on things that you did not pick up the second or third time, or the first time. So, now what I want us to do is I want us to take a look at one paragraph, this one paragraph in particular, under the heading 3 kinds of plate boundaries: convergent, divergent, and transform. And I want us to look at paragraph 5 here. We're going to look at this paragraph, and I would like us to write a summary. So when we write a summary, this is different from the summaries that you have written in the past, where we've done those in the reading mini lessons and the writing lessons, where you had to have the title and the author, the topic sentence, and then you had the key details, and then you would have a couple of paragraphs. This is different. The kind of summary that I want you to do here is just for this one paragraph. It's an isolated summary, and sometimes you are asked to do that. So when I want you to think of a summary, I want you just to think of the key details, the most important details for this one paragraph. So if we reread it and look at it, sometimes the Earth's plates are pushed into each other. A collision of plates creates a convergent boundary. The slow motion crash of titanic tectonic plates can produce awesome results. Earthquakes are caused when two plates collide. If two continents crash, new mountains are formed. The Himalayan mountains, home to some of the tallest mountains on the planet, are still growing. They are being pushed up to the Indian plate ever so slowly, forcing its way into the Eurasian plate. This collision began over 50 million years ago and continues even today. When two plates converge or come together in the ocean, a deep trench is formed. The Aleutian Trench along the northern Pacific Ocean shows where the Pacific Plate forms a fault line. So if I think of all that information, I'm going to pull out some important one. I know that I continually hear the same words over again. Earth's plates and pushed, crash, plates collide, crash, pushed, forces, collision, plates again converge, they come together, a deep trench is formed. So see how I'm seeing some words being repeated over and over? Earth's plates pushed into each other, slow motion crash, two plates collide, continents crash, slow forces, collision, pushed, plates, deep trenches form. So if the author is continuing to repeat something over and over, those are going to be key details, really important details that I need to include in my summary. And that's what I'm going to want to include. So for my summary, I'm going to want to say something like, if we summarize this, we would say let's start with the Earth's plates. Notice I used my apostrophe S because it's owning or possessing the plates, are pushing and crashing into each other, right? So all of this that I've read here so far, the plates are pushing, they're crashing into each other, they're colliding. And then because of that, we've got earthquakes, right? And some mountains being formed, correct? So the Earth's plates are pushing and crashing into each other, causing earthquakes and mountains to form. So that's really the simplest way for you to be able to find and write a summary. If it asks you to find, like, summarize a specific paragraph, even though there's so much information in there, you're going to want to look for information that's being repeated, keywords there. And you are allowed to use your highlighter. So that's a really great way to do that. Reread it. Now look, and you have to think about how many times we've read this now. So we've read it 3 times, plus when I was asked to summarize a specific paragraph, I went and read it again. And as I was reading it, again, I'm reading it for a different purpose. So because I'm reading it for a different purpose, I reread it again, which would be a 4th time. So you read for different reasons, and because you're reading for different purposes, that's why you're going to want to read it multiple times. So this time when I was reading, I was looking for keywords that were being repeated so I could pull out those most important details in order to summarize. All right, I hope that makes sense. Let's go back and look at our PowerPoint slideshow. Okay, so we reread the text and identified key details to include in a summary. What we will be doing tomorrow on day 4, we will reread the text again, but this time we will be eliminating wrong answer choices in the questions, and we'll also be explaining our correct answers. Okay? In conclusion, amazing readers read text multiple times. They also can look for key details to summarize. And why do we do this? So I will become a more fluent reader and understand what I am reading. All right, I hope you enjoyed today's lesson. It's always good to be with you, and I will see you tomorrow.